Welcome back to another one. It is Friday night. I'm able to actually start working on this a little bit. I got the battery cable end on it. The battery's charged. I think the battery's pretty much shot. It is old and drained down and is kind of left outside for a while too, but so I'm charging another battery currently, so I really can't do a whole lot right now. Just checking fluids and kind of going through some stuff. Making sure it's got topped off with oil and stuff, but before I get it started, or before I try to attempt to start it and do this, I'm going to try to suck fuel up to the injection pump and make sure everything's primed. To do that, I'm going to go to the return line right here, and I'm going to take this piece off. This returns goes back to the tank, and I'm going to use a vacuum pump here and hook to that and just suck fuel up into here and watch the line here to make sure there's no air bubbles. Wait until I get all the air bubbles out of there. Some of these do have a pump on the fuel filter. This one does not, but some of them have it where it has a pump where you could pump fuel up there, but this one doesn't have that option. All right, I got you guys set up here. Hopefully you can see what's going on. I'm going to got it off now. I'm going to set the vacuum pump up on on the hose bar to the pump. Now this is not going to pull fuel through the injection lines, but it'll just pull it through the pump. It'll fill the pump up, and I can see some air now that is pumping on that. Of course, I got a vacuum leak on this thing somewhere. I think I figured out my issue. I think this canister is leaking some, but it's not leaking as much as I thought it was. So it still had pretty much a prime. Instead, I'm filling that canister now with fuel. I'm holding some vacuum. It does go down as it draws the fuel out. I'll get it 3/4 of the way full or so just to pull some fuel through that. Bring a little bit more, a little fresher fuel. So it was my return line off the injector that's not working, or that wasn't sealing. It's kind of a poor design, but there's a fuel return between each injector. This side is capped, then it has a line that comes over to each injector, and then from the last injector back up to the top of the pump that actually goes into the pump and returns back to the tank. And it's kind of a crap design to get down in there. It's hard to get them on there. And for whatever reason, this one's the worst one. It always has been. If you watch the videos on them, a lot of guys have the same problems with these hose, because the way they go on there, they don't fit very well. This needs to be turned, but there's no real good way to put it, because if you turn it the other way, then your return line here is in the middle of your throttle linkage and everything else, and the return line ain't set up right. I did try to change it, but none of them were very successful. So it's kind of a crap design. I need to get another hose and redo that one. I think it's cracked the rest of the way. It'll do for the time being though. So I'm going to take my vacuum pump off and rehook that return line. But I said I sucked up a little over half of a canister here fuel, so I know there's fuel in that, or that injection pump is completely full. It definitely smells old. It still is okay fuel, but it's definitely some older fuel that's in there. Mind you, it's probably 6 years old. But I said I'll get this put back together here and get the battery put back on, and I'll show you what I'm doing when I try to start it and what happens. I got the return line put back on. I got the jumper cables onto the other battery, so I'm running both batteries with the charger still on it, but it's not fully charged. So See if it's gonna do what I need it to do. I am gonna pull the cold choke out, which just advances the timing on it, on the injection pump a little bit. I let the glow plugs run twice. I did let them run once, but foot is not on the throttle. Or the glow plug light just went out. You hear it try to fire the first time. As soon as that light goes out, I'm gonna hit the key again. You can't smell it. It is getting smoke in here. I said I turned the cold choke off. Now I pushed it in. See if it starts now. See what happens. I think we're probably still fighting a little bit of a prime issue. So I'm gonna find the wrench. I believe it's a 17 millimeter, and I'm gonna come through. I'm gonna crack each injector line free, and then I'll pick back up because I'm gonna turn it over and let those fuel lines bleed out a little bit. All right, so I got all 4 injection lines completely undone. They're sitting there, but completely undone. So I'm gonna get in, just turn it over, and see if I can get them to bleed out a little bit. Nothing yet. Still nothing. I'm gonna turn the key on. I'm gonna check my 12 volts coming to my fuel shut off. All right, so I got my key on. Check to make sure. Okay, I got ground hooked up right. Now I'm gonna check with the solenoid. I do have 11.85 volts, so that should be opening, or should be opened. Just want to make sure that that is open. As I said, that is the fuel cutoff solenoid. And so with that shut off, it will not, or not supposed to shove, we'll let fuel go past into the injectors. Said so. I don't got fuel bleeding down yet or anything. I'm gonna set you guys up here. I'm gonna use your view on my phone. Try to. Well, that didn't really work either. Let this battery charge up overnight. If that doesn't work, I might just have to go get a new battery sooner than later. I mean, it's turning over. I don't know if it's turning over quite fast enough. It does kind of chuck like that when it is starting. But they said this battery is not quite up to snuff. And I said, that battery's not charged yet. I don't know. It takes a while. Plus I got a cheapo piece of crap Harbor Freight battery charger that's several years old. But I got that on there. I said I'm gonna let this charge overnight and I'll come back out tomorrow and try it again. Alright, I got it primed. I didn't get footage of it. I didn't hit the record button evidently. I just left these off and turned it over. I got the battery charge up this morning. And it's charged enough so I could crank it over. I got fuel coming out. So I tightened them back up, got everything tightened back up, and now we're gonna attempt to start this. Show you what happens here. Cold choke is out, glow plug's running. As soon as they're off, I'll hit the key. wants to pop off, give it throttle a little bit, what it acts like. Kind of acts like it wants to idle. It'll die out. Now I'm going to give it a little gas after I get it started. Now it acts like it wants to run a little bit actually, so we'll see what's going on. If I give it any gas, it seems like it's gonna go full throttle, and I'm just barely touching the throttle. And I'm just barely giving it anything. I don't know if you can see that. Like, now I'm gonna turn the cold choke off and see what happens. Of course, it's smoky in here now. Alright, so it's not quite doing what it was doing the last time I was out here looking at it, a couple years ago, I suppose, by this point in time. But before, it acted like it would go full throttle and then die. Now it kind of acts like it wants to idle a little bit. I'm going to go through and re-verify timing. I'm going to end this video here. And I'll get the stuff out to go through timing, and then that'll be the next video of going through timing and then going further steps there. And so I got to pull the valve cover off. There's a cap down here on the flywheel, or down the bell housing for the flywheel, and then a way to check there's a pin for the injection pump. So I'm gonna get all that stuff out and try to find some of that stuff or get all that stuff out and get it all set up, and that'll be the next video. I said, and then I'll get the gauge for the back of the injection pump to be able to check the actual timing of it. And in order to do that, I got to pull those injection lines off to go through and to do that. Backtrack a little bit and verify my steps and make sure everything's still good. Make sure that I got it right the first time. So it's been a few years since I've worked on it, and the way it's acting now, I figure I better start there. Said it does have it is showing potential, or kind of promising a little bit that maybe it is going to run or maybe be okay, but I'm not sure what's going on right now. So why it's acting different than it was before. Maybe it's just gummed up now, so it ain't letting it do it go full throttle, but who knows. But before I tear into that injection pump, I'm just gonna touch on the basics again and just to verify everything. And I'll take you guys through those steps too when I get there. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one.